My walking corpse. I guess you could call it my walking corpse. Tone DeShields. Something is in this chair right now after getting back from Lincoln Financial Field at 3:30 last night.
Ooh.
This is Good Morning NFC East, and we are back from what a 5-day break. Tone, a lot of ground to cover, but we got to talk about the Eagles win over the Packers last night because that's what everybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to hear our opinion on that game, and I'll
Right.
just get it started right now. That was a hell of an offensive performance last night.
Ooh, man, you can make an argument. It was probably the best. I mean, it seemed like everything was working together. The running game and the passing game. Uh man, record-setting day on the ground, right? Second most rushing yards in a game by the Philadelphia Eagles since the 1940s. Was it, Jeff? I mean, you're the history guy, so
1948. That's the only time the Eagles rushed for more yards in a game, Tone. It was historic. It was impressive. I've never seen any team in the NFL over the last maybe 25 years I've watched football. I've never seen a team dominate on the ground like they did last night.
yeah, I think what was the most exciting about it was the fact that it wasn't just a one man band man type of affair. You saw every guy getting involved in that running game. Every guy was able to eat against that Green Bay Packers defensive front. And Jalen Hurts, man, over 100 yards in the first quarter. First quarterback to do that in the NFL. That's or at least the first quarterback to do that. It's been recorded. You know what I mean? So, man, Jalen Hurts, a man on a mission, a guy who's playing great football, a guy who's just willing to do any and everything to win, regardless of how his numbers look. And I think that was really what stood out to me the most. Jalen Hurts didn't care about staying in the pocket and delivering the ball, trying to stand tall, the entire time. He did exactly what he needed to do, in my humble opinion. I felt like he ran when he needed to run. I felt like he passed when he needed to pass, and I just felt like he allowed the game to come to him. And I feel like the coaches, for the first time in a while, let the game come to them rather than trying to chase this high flying pass attack type of ghost. It seemed like they just leaned into what they did well, and they trusted what they did well. And look what happened. They put up their most points all year. So
You could tell in that game last night, scripted plays are the scripted plays, right? They did throw the ball a little more early than they had to, but again, they were still the first 15 plays of the game. They're mostly scripted anyway. But after that, they saw what we saw as analysts, as they saw what the fans saw. Run the ball. Run the damn ball, Nick. And they, at one point in this game, Tone, I think they ended up averaging like 8.9 yards per carry. They were averaging 9.9 yards per carry as a football team for the majority of that game. It's the only time that it went down was when they were going for it on like a 4th and 1 and like a quarterback sneak.
yeah, man. They just dominated the line of scrimmage. You got to give credit first and foremost to Jeff Stoutland University. You got to give credit to that offensive line, man. It just seemed like those guys would not be denied, and I don't know if they needed, that rest from the past two games. I don't know what flipped, but we talked about this last week and the week before that this offense seemed to sputter a little bit, and it seemed like they were struggling to get things going. And I think this was the perfect game, the perfect situation for them to do that, and they ended up doing it. Prime time Sunday Night Football, and no matter if people want to admit it or not, Jalen Hurts outdueled Aaron Rodgers. So now, all you guys have that Aaron Rodgers head on your mantle. You guys have
Hey,
that mounted on the
Jordan
wall
Love
now.
outdueled Aaron Rodgers last night too.
Who would have thought? First of all, man, Jonathan Gannon. Don't get me started on him. Jonathan Gannon made Jordan Love look like he belonged in the NFL. Man, that shouldn't have happened. I don't know if the players took Jordan Love for granted. I'm not sure if Jonathan Gannon took Jordan Love for granted. I don't know, but
It could be just a guy they didn't see or didn't game plan for. Yeah, I mean, as simple as that.
or as simple as that, a guy that didn't get a chance to game plan for. But Jeff, I gotta ask you, what stood out to you the most about that Eagles win last night?
Besides the fact that they ran for 363 yards?
It's the fact they ran for 300 yards. Besides that, let's dig into the minutia, right? What are the implications of this game in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, overall, they are the best team in the NFC. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I think a lot of the players that I talked to after the game last night said it best. Do you know what it means when you're that dominant on the ground? Like 1 week, it's Jalen Hurts throws 3 touchdown passes to AJ Brown. 1 week, Devonta Smith has a big game. When Dallas Goedert gets back, he's gonna have the potential to have a big game. Oh, by the way, you just flex your muscle and say, "Oh yeah, we can still run the ball like how we did last year." By the way, our quarterback is the top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He might be the front runner for MVP. You can't stop him on the ground. Remember the last couple of weeks we were talking about like where's Jalen Hurts running the football? Not like we cared enough, but now it's Jalen Hurts has a legitimate chance to be the first quarterback ever to throw for 4,000 yards and run for 1,000 yards. I don't care who you are. That is historic. That is MVP like. That is top 5 quarterback in the league. Jalen Hurts is clearly a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League right now, Tom. He is, and he shows up in the brightest of moments. Even when they lose a game, it's not because of Jalen Hurts. This football team is not only winning games because of Jalen Hurts, they can win the Super Bowl because of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow.
Whoa.
You name that quarterback that can win you a Super Bowl based on performance, Jalen Hurts is doing that.
Now, let me ask you this because everyone always goes back to the fact that a dual threat quarterback or a running quarterback, rather, right, hasn't done it before. And I'm curious to know
They
what
have
your
done it. Patrick Mahomes is a running quarterback, in my opinion.
I would tend to agree with you, Russell Wilson. I just feel like a lot of people don't want to put them in that box because they're so prolific as a passer. Obviously, Russell Wilson not so much right now, but I believe people don't want to put guys like Patrick Mahomes, don't want to put guys like Russell Wilson in that category because they're known to be prolific passers, where Jalen Hurts isn't necessarily a prolific passer just yet, but he's trending in that direction because of his efficiency, because of his ability to make the easy throws. I think that was the biggest thing coming to the season. Jalen Hurts, make the easy throws. If you can do that, then we can build on everything else, right? And I feel like that was something that was missing from Carson Wentz. He couldn't make the easy throws. And bringing it back to Jalen Hurts, you're right. He has a quality about him that leads you to believe he can lead this team to a Super Bowl victory. He shows up in the biggest moments. Each game in prime time, he showed up. They did lose the one game in prime time against the Commanders, but they didn't lose that game because of him. He actually engineered a game-winning drive, but Quez Watkins fumbled the ball. Nonetheless, I think you're on to something, Jeff. Jalen Hurts has this uncanny ability to lead guys, to rally the troops, and to just show up in the biggest moments. And it only makes me more curious to see how he would look in a playoff setting when the stakes are at its highest.
We've almost gone a full calendar year now where I think we have actually gone a full calendar year where Jalen Hurts has not been responsible for the Philadelphia Eagles losing a football game.
That's true. And we've talked about that, right? Don't be the reason they lose. Be the reason they win. Don't be the reason they lose. Even if you're not the reason they win, don't be the reason they lose. Protect the ball, be efficient, make the easy throws, and live to fight another day. And that's his style of football. And I think that's what I love the most about him. He doesn't put his team in precarious positions like a Josh Allen with the many turnovers he's had over the past several weeks. Josh Allen, he's a super talented individual, but sometimes, the curse of the gifted is a real thing. You're so talented, you trust your arm so much, you tend to try to fit the ball in the smallest of keyholes. And I think that's why we're seeing guys like Josh Allen turn the ball over the way he's doing it, because he believes he's Superman, because he's forced to do everything. The difference between Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, because they both run the ball for their teams, but there's a difference in how Jalen Hurts does it and how Josh Allen does it. Josh Allen seems like he does it because he really needs to. Their running game is not as prolific or consistent as the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't have the same running backs back there. Whereas of the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, yeah, he runs, but most of the time, if any time, it seems out of necessity. It doesn't seem like he's looking to run. Like, there was a moment where he was bearing to his right, and he could have took off, but he was still looking down the field. And I think one of the linebackers got him from behind. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he's constantly keeping his eye down the field, and that's something that you need to have, a guy who's always willing to make the right throw, make the right decision at any given moment. And it doesn't care too much about his stats at all.
Yeah, it's weird, right? So his explanation for basically having the dominant night he had on the ground was, I ran and they couldn't catch me. Like, he couldn't, and that's just how Jalen Hurts is, right? It's everything. He defers to everybody else. Like, look, I'm not in this position without my offensive line. I'm not doing this without a receiver making a catch. Like, he threw a beautiful ball to Quez Watkins last night for that touchdown. Hey, who
Beautiful,
does he give credit to?
beautiful,
Quez. What, he's like, well, that
beautiful.
was a great. Hey, it was like Quez made a great play on that, but when you watch the play on replay, you're like, damn, that was a good throw. Like, that's a Patrick Mahomes type throw. That's a Josh Allen type throw. Are we ever going to see Jalen Hurts make that throw like Josh Allen made on Thanksgiving, where he basically just said, F it, like, I'm going to will my team to a win? I don't think we will, because I don't think the Eagles will ever be in that situation where they're that desperate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's his game, but he's going to make plays where you're just like, I can't believe he just did that, or I can't believe this guy is that good. Like that's how Jalen Hurts is to me. He
Yeah.
is that guy that can make those types of plays any single time. And will he do it with his arm? Probably not all the time, but he can make those throws, and we saw that last night.
We're starting to see him check every box, right? We're starting to see him check every box situationally. We've seen him come back from double digits in the fourth quarter. That's something that I've talked about in over the offseason. Can he be that guy to lead his team in the fourth quarter, being down by double digits? Can he do that? He's checked that box. Can he be that quarterback that knows how to put up points when you need the points the most? He did that, especially last night, right before halftime. The game is tied, and for it's important for the Philadelphia Eagles to at least have some level of cushion going into the second half, especially with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay getting that ball back. To your point about that throw, he drives down the field, delivers a pinpoint throw to Quez Watkins to close out the half. He's shown a propensity to handle every situation. You can tell this guy's paid attention in the offseason. He's paid attention to the drills. He's really drilled situational football, and that's what the NFL is about. More than any other football league, it's about situational football. What do you do on third down? The Eagles were surgical on third down last night. The defense did really well last night on third down. What do you do when you're down by double digits in the fourth? He's shown that he can do that. What do you do when you're down by double digits in the first early in a bad weather game? Can you will your team to the win? He's done that. What do you do when offense sputters and now the team is starting to gain on you and you guys have given up a lead or given up headway in terms of the point differential? What do you do? Like that Lions game, he willed the team to the victory. He has so many different styles of winning on his resume this season. You got to give credit where credit is due. Who do you give credit to that most of all for having this guy prepared? I mean, of course he does the work himself, but is there anyone outside of Jalen Hurts himself that you can give the credit to, or just show some love to for preparing this guy to go against the situations he's actually succeeded in?
Well, Shane Steichen and quarterback coach Brian Johnson deserve a ton of credit. Like, they attacked Jalen Hurts' weaknesses in the offseason. Jalen Hurts was willing to attack them with them. Like, okay, Jalen Hurts can't throw his left. Okay, we'll work on that. Jalen Hurts takes off right away. Okay, we'll work on that. We'll work on
how important is that willingness too? Add that into your spiel, right? That willingness to attack your weaknesses.
Well, yeah, because that's what the great ones do. Everybody's watched the Last Dance by now. You know what made Michael Jordan the GOAT? Because he wanted to be the GOAT. He attacked every single thing. He took everything personally. And I took it personally, the meme. Like, everything. I feel like that's Jalen Hurts. He just takes everything that, he's not going to go out and say it, but he's going to be that guy like, oh, you say I can't do this? Okay. Like, now, you know what the next box he needs to check is? And again, he'll get his haters because it's social media. Well, he hasn't won a playoff game. Okay, he's only played in one. He's not. Boston Scott said it best last night. I always forget how old he is because of his poise, because of the way he handles his business. Like, you forget he's not even 25 yet. It's absolutely crazy. Like, the Eagles have such a damn good future because of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, definitely. The future for the Eagles is bright right now at, so far being 10-1 on the season. But, last night did have a couple casualties, most notably Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going down. We're still unsure what it is, but it didn't look good. He looked like he was in real pain. At first, I thought it was like a stinger or something because the way he hit the guy, but apparently it must be ribs. Have you heard any news about that on the
only news I heard didn't even come out of the Eagles locker room on injuries last night. Aaron Rodgers said it was his ribs, not his oblique last night.
Wow, 2 players with their ribs. Aaron Rodgers and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
By the way, the Packers should not play Rodgers the rest of the year.
They'd be fools too.
Yeah, I wouldn't play. They're 4-8. They're out. There's only one team in NFL history to start 4-8 and make the playoffs, and they won their division. No team's ever done it as a wild card. So they're out. In my mind, the Eagles, they were all black last night, and it was for the Packers funeral.
Oh, man. So the NFC East, man. What's the state of the NFC East right now through your eyes? Because the Cowboys were able to beat the Giants, the Commanders were able to steal a win over the weekend as well. So, man, the Commanders, a team that just rose back from the dead, they're only a game behind the Giants, only a couple games behind the Cowboys. The Eagles are just so far at the forefront. What's your evaluation? What's your take on the state of the NFC East right now?
The Eagles run the show. It's not even close. Like, they're up 2 games on Dallas, and they beat them already. So, in a way, you're up 3 games with 6 to play. Again, this week 16 game might not mean anything if the Eagles take care of it. Like, they got a tough game against Tennessee this week, and we'll get to that later. But if you're looking ahead, you got the Giants twice. You got the Saints, who are god-awful. They are terrible. The Bears are god-awful. They are terrible. You got Dallas, and you got this Titans game. Like, at worst, you go maybe 4-2. So based on the way they're playing, that's 14-3, Tone. They pretty much had the division wrapped up. Like, I hate to say that already, but just look at the scenario here. Like, and Dallas can still slip. They still can slip up. So I mean, if they beat Tennessee next week, Giants are in a free fall, man. And right now, all 4 NFC East teams are in the playoffs, and it might stay that way because Seattle's kind of free falling too. But, man, that Giants-Washington for the games coming up, for the Giants' sake, they better split with Washington.
So important. So important. Last night, it made me think about the NFC East, but even more, it made me think about, yes, the Eagles are this good, and they are dominating their division right now.
Better, Tone. I don't even think about the division anymore.
Wow.
Wow.
Huh. It's funny you say that because I felt like the Eagles always had control of this division for the past several weeks. And I've always been thinking about that number 1 seed. And the Vikings are making it very interesting. The Vikings are keeping pace. I think they're 9-2, if I'm not mistaken.
They're 9-2. But again, the Eagles beat them. So it's basically a 2-game lead, but they're going to keep pace because the NFC North is just a crappy division. And you saw that last night. It's not good. But how can you say the Vikings are better than Philly when they lose to a team the Eagles beat? Oh, by the way, the Eagles crushed them. Their point differential is barely in the positives right now. Like, I don't think their win over the Patriots Thursday night was as impressive as people made it out to be.
Yeah, I think the Patriots made it interesting. But again, I didn't walk away that impressed. But really quickly, final question, and then we're going to go to our break. We have Mike Gill coming up out of the break. Mike Gill from 97.3 The Sports Bash over there in Jersey. ESPN does an amazing job, and I'm curious to hear his perspective on this past weekend. So, and also the Thanksgiving Day games. But final question, man. Special teams. What's the answer? What's the answer? I'm starting to believe it's more than just the players.
There
I'm
is
starting
no
to believe
answer.
it's more than just the players.
There is no answer. Fire Mike Clay. I don't think they'll have a special teams coordinator next year. If you want to be, their special teams are not special. Tone. I'm getting tired of every time the Eagles score a touchdown, Green Bay gets the ball at pretty much the 40 or the 50 because the kickoff coverage sucks. Look, I don't even blame like Britton Covey for punt returns anymore. There's no point. Like, I don't think it's him. I think it's just who's running the show right now. Michael Clay is
Yesterday
out.
seemed like it showed itself way more than it has all year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it was bad last year. It's worse this year. Like our buddy Matt Verderam from Fanside said, I don't see a weakness in the Eagles. I'm like, I do. Special team.
Yeah, Les Bowen said the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the weakness if you think about it. Like even Jake Elliott's getting in on the action now.
Hey, listen, man. You know it's going to be what it's going to be, and I really hope special teams isn't the undoing of this 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles football team. But you guys, next up, we have our guy Mike Gill from 97.3 ESPN, the Sports Bash. Like I said, does amazing work for his station and just continues to give dope and really, really profound sports topics to really break down, because I love when Mike comes on because he really just approaches it from a perspective that I didn't think of. So really excited to have him come up next. You guys, you're locked in on Good Morning NFC East. He's Jeff Kerr. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Keep it locked. You do not want to miss this.
If